with us. So he'll be in the comment section and he'll be here live with us where we're discussing today's live stream, or in today's live stream, how it is that they are actually screwing you over with the much easier financial conditions than you had ever anticipated, considering the Federal Reserve has ultra high Fed funds rate right now in an attempt to try and restrict the economy. So what is it we're actually seeing is we're seeing looser monetary conditions in the areas in which that are most exposed to that of the institutional investors, who are most likely also using that of the retail investors such as 401ks or retirement funds. This daisy chain of financial conditioning in which that has created the ultra high stock markets and the idea that there's this incredibly resilient economy really comes down to some masterful trickery that's taken place within the markets. Now, I'm going to kind of discuss a little bit about it, and then we're going to go ahead and read through some of these comments here. So ultimately, what we're seeing out there is something of a daisy chain of financial conditioning in which that retirement funds or that of insurance companies or companies in which that do investments are required to hold a specific or a certain requirement within the grade of investment that they hold on their portfolio. So ultimately, things like junk bonds or companies that are not of worthy value to these institutional investors or these insurance companies or retirement funds have now figured out a way to channel that money out of these retirement funds into these junk bonds, so to speak. Now, what they do is something as a collateralized loan obligation, in which that they have a pyramid effect that takes place where all these loans from all these junk companies who can't even sell their junk bonds, or even in the junk bond markets, these collateralized loan obligations are built, in which that there is certain tranches that hold an investment grade that is now acceptable to these insurance companies. And now you have retirement funds who are then investing into these investment grade portions of these collateralized loan obligations, which is now channeling money into these companies. Now, this can happen all the way down from the absolute crap companies all the way up to companies that are actually doing quite well. And as all this money is funneling in to these through the different forms of collateralized loan obligations, we're finding that these companies are now having higher stock values, or even in the sense of what the Wolf Richter article is now showing, and something that I have been trying to describe for quite some time, is how easy the financial market conditions are right now in order to allow this to actually happen. So as we think that the financial conditions are much more restricted than they really are, we're finding things like buying a house is difficult, but yet buying stock on margin is really easy. And this is where this article is really stepping up to try. And for me, this is exposing how it is that that neutral interest rate has risen, getting ever closer to the Fed funds rate, which is making the economy far less restricted. Sorry, I'm overwhelming the chat here. We got 93 people watching, and I can see already all-nighters just loving it up here in the comment section. What are they saying?
Oh man, too many fun comments.
Too many to go through.
Johnny's asking how much to have a mod in my car.
Yeah, right there in the in the middle of it all. So, but this is something that I think is interesting to find, now coming out within this Wolf Richter article, is the exposure of how less restricted, I guess I should say, the economy is. He's calling it loosey-goosey, but I don't know if I would necessarily go as far as to call it loose, but it is far less restricted than anybody had anticipated, and I think this is exposing some of that less restrictiveness by even just being able to write the article in itself. So looks like the family just pulled up from fair. Freddie had a turkey that he took into fair. Market weight is 40 pounds, anything over 40 pounds, and you can't show it. And his turkey weighed in at 38 pounds. It was like absolutely perfect. Couldn't get any better.
And 34 just a couple days ago. So this thing took up 4 pounds in just a couple days.
How was fair?
Been on my feet for 10 hours.
Yeah, it was tough, man. You look like a farmer, bro. You gonna go get something to eat?
Yes.
Hi, Bubbles.
I think closer to 12 hours.
You look tired too.
Yes, we left over 12 hours ago.
Yeah. We're live streaming.
I see that.
You like farming?
Sure.
Love you, man.
Hey, you
All right, we'll be in a little bit.
All right.
All right. So, what do we have for questions? What is it? Have you used any stock? Oh, I missed the statement.
Have you used any stock picks recommended by Rebel Capitalist Pro?
No. I really pick everything that I do from my own personal choice. Like, I don't use anybody else's advice or anything else when I do stock picks, and probably a bad idea, because I probably get some pretty good advice if I was to listen to other people. But I figure if I have to listen to somebody else to buy the stock, then I probably have to also listen to them for the time to sell it or get out and to move into other, positions. So to me, trial and error for myself is probably, there's no better way to learn something than to lose money, So what is that? Picking stocks is overrated. Yeah, I don't really pick stocks. I dollar cost average into, I do have one stock, but I buy Coinbase just simply because I think it's going to be the crypto bank of, use amongst the everything out there, so I figured Coinbase is going to be in the game pretty well. That makes it, reasonable to buy. And then, I buy total stock market ETF Vanguard, which isn't much, it's just like, it doesn't move very much. It's not over, it's not crazy or anything like that. It's just a simple position. All right. Do you see homes doubling what is that, times before 2030? Do you see homes doubling like COVID times before? Do I see them doubling? I don't know about that. It's hard to predict like where prices are going to go as far as like, people ask me all the time, like, where's Bitcoin going to go like in 10 years or something like that? And I'm like, I don't know. That's why I dollar cost average. If I was to guess and be accurate at doing stuff like that, then I would probably be like a stock investor doing that kind of thing. I know that right now it doesn't seem like they're building a whole lot of homes. So if you're not building a lot of homes, then you're probably not going to have a whole lot of homes to sell going into the future. And if you don't have a lot of homes to sell, then there's going to have to be other reasons. Like, everybody kind of talks about like the great financial crisis and the housing crisis that took place. But a lot of times, I don't know how many people were quite aware of how much building activity was taking place at the time. It was insane. And so when all of a sudden that just came to an end, it was a lot of houses that were on the market. Like right now, we don't have a lot of building activity taking place to provide a lot of houses to the market. What was that super chat? What did that thing say?
Will CBDC happen after hyperinflation collapse?
There's not going to be a hyperinflation in what? The dollar?
In the dollar, yeah. I would assume, but I wouldn't assume so.
I would assume that you're right, that that he's talking about a hyperinflation in the dollar. And the only way you're really going to ever see a hyperinflation in the dollar is if you were to find that the entire globe suddenly decided that they were no longer going to use dollar and then accept defaults on dollar debt, and that would absolutely destroy all the rest of the currencies out there. It would destroy all kinds of, it's hard to describe it in a way that is simple, but what would end up taking place is something called the contagion effect, in which that all companies, all people, and everything is all leveraged off each other. So if one person's balance sheet starts to deteriorate, well, then what ends up happening is all the debt that they have out there, which is the debt they need to pay, so somebody owns their debt, that's dispersed out there amongst a bunch of other people. That debt starts to become less value, their balance sheet starts to deteriorate, their debt becomes less value, and this so on and so on. Now, it's hard to explain it in just like 10 seconds, but there's a contagion effect that would essentially take place if people were to give up on the dollar, and it would destroy the entire global economy altogether. Now, if that brings out the central bank digital currency, probably, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of stuff that happens during that time, but that's not the reason central bank digital currencies are going to be issued. They are being issued. It's already taken place. It's happening. Like, the regulations for them doesn't mean that the stable coin doesn't exist, right? Like, they're coming up with the regulations for it, but the stable coins are now in play. They're already active. So once they have the stable coin thing figured out, the dollar backing it, they can use their same dollar strategy, same dollar policy. Anything that is being backed by the dollar will have that policy transferred right into it. So stable coins can be issued, in a sense, being backed by the dollar and then being regulated by the government. And that's what I see taking place, and all for the purpose of being able to stimulate. Now, stimulating the government, or I mean, stimulating by the government right now requires them to take out the debt and inject it into the system through government programs, or literally just stimulus checks handing it out there. It'll have to get to the point where they're going to try and do a UBI effect to try and create a consumer, because that's essentially what they're trying to do, is increase aggregate demand by having a consumer out there. And the way they're going to do that is through issuance of direct injection, and there's no better way of doing that than through central bank digital currencies. Like, that's my opinion about it. I don't know. I don't know nothing, you know. And the whole purpose of it anyway is to go negative interest rates, because that's the most stimulating, you know, to increase aggregate demand, is to take interest rates down. You know? Anyway, what's next here? How do you feel about people who, oh, it's fading away. How do you, I miss it. I can't see them.
How do you feel about people who leave America for lower cost, oh shoot, it jumped, of living areas? Is it something that you would ever consider?
Leaving this expensive area for a lower cost area? Is that what it?
Yeah.
No, because like the whole point of me living here is because of why it's like, it's friendly, it's nice,
leaving
it's,
the country, yeah.
like leaving the country altogether. Well, if I could find, if no, like, no, not really, because there's no place I would rather be than in America, essentially, because this is where it's all happening. This is where it's all at. Like, I don't trust the government, but then again, I don't try to rely on the government for anything either. So therefore, I don't have to give them a whole lot of trust. And I could imagine the scenarios in which that they are going to come after me. But then again, I also have the constitutional right to then say, okay, well, I'm going to attempt to defend my house and myself, because unless you have a warrant that's signed, right? Signed warrant, then, you know, I don't really do anything that's going to have them involved in my life. Now, I understand there's taxes to pay and stuff, which is kind of a pain in the ass. But then again, hey, I'm in a country in which that I get to the ability to pay so much in taxes. That's pretty cool too, right? You know, I mean, it sucks, but that's cool. So, no, man, this is it. This is my home, and this is where I live, and I love it here. Yeah. What was that super chat? Was there another one up there?
Stephen Mitchell joined. Oh, and then Thomas Crown. I have my Roomba vacuum cleaning my house while on my family trip to Disney. What would Cantillon say about this?
Right? Food, conveniences, and pleasures of life, man. I mean, think about the convenience of having a vacuum that's running around. See, this is the cool thing. See, here's the step away from it. You think about it. There was a time in which that people earned enough money that they, well, think about like having the live-in housemaid, or the housemaid that lived or that worked your house. Like, you didn't do, you had like the doctor, you know, the doctor, the lawyer, whatever. And I'm sure that's still the case for a lot of people. But think about it, the Roomba totally like annihilated that for being the average person's ability to have, like, to hire a maid, essentially. I mean, I'm sure it still happens for some cases, but, you know, it's these conveniences of life that essentially made those jobs go away, right? What is that?
Honestly, I think this idea of real estate crash is copium. Yeah.
Copium,
at this point, rates were 15% in the 80s, stricter lending standards than before '08 crash.
Well, yeah, but you also have to understand that, I mean, it's okay to like to kind of compare it to the past, because there is a lot that you can do that with, but you also got to take into consideration back in the 80s you could build your own house too, right? Like, building a house was pretty simple, and it didn't take a whole lot. Like, I mean, you kind of had to have some carpentry skills, but there wasn't a lot to the codes and the requirements, the permitting process, everything that goes into it, it was a pretty simple thing that you could do. So even the average everyday dude could build a house. And so at 15% and saying, yeah, houses were like, accessible back then to people, so they should stop bitching today at 6%. I don't think that's necessarily fair to say, because houses, I believe, were more accessible back in the day. And if the average person could do it, think about how many more there would be. Like nowadays, you really don't have a whole lot of people out there who are building their own homes in that same fashion. I mean, it was the same thing we were talking about it with cars. Cars are eventually going to be a luxury item that only the rich people are going to have, and everybody else is going to have to rent or lease or you know, essentially or deal with a really old 97 Suburban or something of that nature, because the cars are just going to become so expensive. And then by the time they are actually paid for, they're probably going to have some sort of issue that costs you a lot of money to deal with, replacement of batteries or even replacement of sensors or anything else that goes along with it. So if you're already kind of wealthy, then that won't be a big deal. But if you're barely making it and this is like the payment is the only thing you got, owning the vehicle is going to be very difficult, especially after the times that, the major parts start to go that need to be replaced or something. So what ends up happening is like leasing becomes the better option in that sense. And although financially or like, like intuitively thinking, it was just like, man, talk about throwing money straight away, at least you don't have to worry about warranty issues or anything like that. It's so much cheaper of a payment. You always have a newer car, and that's most likely going to be the only option that a lot of people ever have in order to have or drive a newer vehicle. So I can see that being more the case. And again, going to the wrecking yard to buy a car, a used car, to fix it up and drive it around like you and your buddies doing that when you're 16 years old, like nobody does that anymore. You can't really do that. So even having a car nowadays is a very difficult thing to do, and it's very expensive, and it's most likely going to be more for the wealthy elite and the more of a luxurious item as time goes on. I mean, I guess they do make cheap electric cars too, I mean, that'll be fun, right? Zipping around in a little tin can.
As long as we can get the electricity.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. There's those little vehicles. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, some of those things are so small. And I'm thinking, man, you get, here in the Pacific Northwest and going down Highway 30, which is the highway that I travel, windy. It rains 9 months out of the year. Like driving a vehicle that is not made to be down that highway, you have to be very careful with. I don't know. We got 166 people watching. Right on. People love hearing me babble, bro.
I heard someone inside laughing too.
Yeah, that's Jay in there laughing. What's the next question? I can't see in there.
I'm looking for a question mark. Let's see. Dominic was saying, at least a very cheap vehicle, the opportunity cost of my beater breaking down was too high.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like I'm actually considering it too, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I could just lease the vehicle and use the lease payment as a write-off for the business or something like that, and start, going that route, and then have everybody call me a hypocrite for getting a new vehicle. That would be fun.
Investing is incredibly personal.
Yeah,
I mean, changes with time.
I think about it. It was just like I have cut back on everything. Like I don't buy anything new. I always have everything used, everything. Like I don't buy anything at all, and I put everything towards like investments. And I'm amazed on how well I was able to actually acquire when you're disciplined. You can really build up a decent amount. And then once you get there, like the last thing you want to do is give it up.
Right.
It's like no, I've already gone this far. It's like the last thing I'm gonna do is fucking dive in damn payments on something.
Yeah, it's funny because I was building up that nest egg to buy the property, and when it came down to it, it was like, oh man, I'm not gonna have anything when I spend all this. I had my reserves, but that's not really in cash, so I didn't want to dip into the reserves at all. Yeah, it was weird being wiped out in cash.
I like it when people call me a millionaire. I figure as everybody else has this energy and I carry the energy too, and everybody feels it, then there's just no other choice but for it to happen. So. I've had somebody come in the other day. I was like, hey, there's a YouTube star, like being a millionaire. And I'm like, oh, God. Yeah, it's great, man.
Retail millionaire.
Retail millionaire. Yeah. What is that? I'm the crazy person who can deal with I can't read it, man. What does that say? It's a personal one.
With the heat in most cases, I just roll down the window when the AC breaks and fix it when I have the cash.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even know cars had AC until I left the Pacific Northwest. And then I was like, oh, that's what that does. Oh, got it.
Yeah, my two trucks need to have their AC fixed.
Yeah, I don't know if the AC works in any of them.
Yeah, sorry, Lucius, I didn't see the copper question.
What was it?
I don't know.
Oh.
He's asking somebody to ask it again.
Oh, was it a big question or something?
Yeah, I missed it. Sorry, I missed it.
Deja vu. Did you get your request filled?
Oh yeah, this was a special request from Deja Vu.
All right. Does your house have central air conditioning? Oh, Matt Bittner. Man, dude, great question. I have a heat pump that works the heating and cooling. So the back of the house, because it's kind of long, it's stretched out. It's like a ranch style home. And the heat pump is over on the other end of the house. But oh man, it is badass. Yeah, it totally works, and it keeps the house the same temperature no matter what. It's like no matter what, warm in the winter and cold in this, or yeah, warm in the winter and cold in the summer. It's like it was awesome. I'd never had that before in my life. Like I always had wood heat and just or a house that was just like cooking because you didn't have any kind of air conditioning going on. So yeah, I do have the heat pump, which is awesome.
All right, I want to attempt this name. Forgive me if I butcher it. Yokubo Tenshi says there are lots of perfectly fine AC compressors lying around in junkyards.
Huh.
I would agree.
Yeah, there probably is. Yeah.
What's funny though is I've heard stories of junkyards getting tighter. Like it's more difficult to go into a junkyard and get your stuff because that's not consuming new stuff. So it's actually hurting money velocity, if you would.
Yeah.
And production.
I remember one time, like the last time I went to a junkyard to get a replacement part was some seatbelts for a Ford Taurus that I had. And I remember that it was 3 seatbelts in the back that I needed. And it was like this, and they were like, okay, no problem. It's going to be like, $20 a seatbelt or something like that. I forget what it was. I'm like, okay, so there's 3 of them. I paid for 3 of them. And the funny thing is that when I got it and I took, they were in a box and I took it home and I pulled it out and 2 of the seatbelts were connected together. There's no way you could separate them. They were one unit. And they charged me for 2 on that. So I paid like $60 then I was like, well, no way, man. There's only 2 parts here. Like, so one of them was actually $40, is really what it was, But there's no way they could have separated. I couldn't just say, oh no, man, I just want 2. Because
So Henry Escobar writes, since everyone has the ability to control their own economy,
yeah.
Would you say America will never go back to a one-income economy? I'm assuming that's like a one-family income economy.
For the average person, probably not.
Yeah, I wouldn't assume so either.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, like the average person who happens to be just hanging around is actually going to have a fairly decent life. Like I wouldn't knock the American way of existence, considering that, really, like, I mean, I know it's like a terrible way of looking at it, but, really it's the facts of the matter is that I look around at some of the homeless people and they are drinking beer and talking on cell phones and, have things. And I'm thinking, man, there's people in this world who have a really crappy existence and they don't get to talk on cell phones and they don't get to drink beer. And so when I think about like the luxurious experience that is happening here, just for everyone in general, just from simply being here, it's a pretty good existence when you really think about it. Yeah, could it be better? Absolutely. But that's really all about how you're giving meaning to it. And if you're enjoying the luxuries of life, like think about it. Cantillon breaks it down to food, conveniences, and pleasures of life. If you got food, that's a third of your wealth right there. So if you really have good access to food, you're growing your food, or you happen to know organic farmers, or you can trade for your food, or you just whatever. I mean, you just have your food taken care of. That's a third of your wealth, right? Conveniences. Well, what is a convenience? Like a car is a convenience, but how fancy of a car do you really need? So your conveniences is all about what it is that you have in your life. And when it comes to the United States, this place is packed with conveniences in all kinds of ways. I mean, just think about like the idea of ride sharing and DoorDash and all those other things. Not that somebody who's average would be using that. I'm just saying that it exists, and it wouldn't exist if it wasn't, part of the whole other experience, right? I mean, obviously it wouldn't exist if people weren't using it. So you got food, conveniences, and then pleasures of life. Well, pleasures of life is all about you, man. Like, what do you want to do? Like, you don't really need money to enjoy the pleasures of life. I mean, maybe you do, but I don't. Like, I need a view, a ribeye, and music. That's simple, right? So I got my food taken care of, I got my pleasures, I got my conveniences, and that's it, man. That's the wealth. And if you think about how prevalent that is in the United States, I mean, dang, this is a pretty rich country to be in, just even being poor, I mean, which sucks, but it's not bad, right? Because it could be really bad. And in my opinion, if things continue to go down the way they are, I don't see how this is going to change. Like, there's going to be ever more increasing amounts of experiences and luxuries by the people who have first access to the money, and that's going to separate the rich from the poor even more. It's going to create even more inequality, and as people kind of envision this inequality as being this, like, wrapped in rags and on the streets and, all, like, sick and homely or whatever, that's not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting people to really be living out their life, probably, with the ability to continue and claim that they have, entitlements or something like that. I don't know. But ultimately, like, I don't see them having a really bad time here in the United States, maybe a frustrating time, right? But if we have a dollar dominance that continues to, and, go around the globe, I mean, it's going to be more of the same, right? I don't know. That's kind of what I see, because it's kind of what's happening. Just.
I think we got to thank Carlos Rincon for the sticker.
Oh, thank you so much for the sticker, man, and all the support for the channel. Look at this. We got $28.98 in super chats and stickers. You guys are awesome, man.
Backed up on super chats.
Nice. What do we got here?
Chico Channel 7 writes, I live below means, dead-end job, poor, 38, thinking to join union for plumbing. Not too book smart. Cousin who is in decade, I think has been in for a decade, said now is the best time.
Do it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I'd say do it, man. If you have a drive for it, go for it, man. Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't like your job and you don't like your position and you got an opportunity to go and learn to be a plumber, do it. Like, man, and you want to do it and you got a buddy who's doing it, do it. Yep.
Yeah, plumbing's good. Just don't bite your fingernails.
Yep.
And don't necessarily, I don't want to bash unions, but I wouldn't necessarily go for just unions.
Yeah, I would, like, yeah, I agree.
I'd keep my options open.
But it's not a bad way to go. What's this one?
And A2 Grub writes, you stated that there is no real economy, but there is. The personal wages has gone down or remained the same since 1977, and since then the deficits keep rising because of less wages to tax.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. But then at that time, you didn't have gig economies. You didn't have side hustles with the abilities that they do today. So to try and say that the wages back then were that and this is what you earn today, it's not the same thing. Like, I don't have a college education. I mean, hell, man, I barely have a high school education. I cheated my way through school, and I don't like admitting that, but I did, and that's the facts matter. And, when I think about it, nobody has ever ever asked me for my diploma. So I don't know what the point of
Yeah.
even going to high school was to begin with, since I cheated it anyway, right? So everything that I'm doing right now is really just going for just from the things that I've learned. And when I got a phone in my hand with the ability to do some of the things that I've been able to do, you have to think I'm not tech savvy. Right? You should see my phone. The screen's all cracked to shit, right? You know, I mean, it's just like I don't like I had to, oh man, I gotta charge this thing up before we get started. You know, the ability to go out there and earn money today is pretty easy when you think about it, right? When you go and you think about the restrictions that you have from money, then is a lot of that too. So if you want to live in abundance, live in the abundance that you choose. If you choose to live in an abundance of restriction, you're going to find plenty of it, you know? And I mean, but if you live in a choice of abundance, then there's a lot of opportunity. And today in my opinion, there's more opportunity now than there ever was. And so back in the 70s when wages were whatever, yeah, that's because people didn't need to go and chase side hustles. They were producing and manufacturing things that were used around the world. So the world sent us their money, and that made them very close to the new money. That's why their wages were able. Today, we're not close to the new money. I mean, when I get I'm like so far, I mean, I'm retailing things from China, right? Like that's what I do most of the day is sell little parts and pieces that are coming from China. Like, I mean, lumber for the most part is a domestic product, but all the parts and pieces that put it together, yeah, I mean, that's all, you know. I mean, unless you're buying paint, siding, I don't know, like, and lumber and maybe some of the hardware, like the Simpson product kind of things, like the brackets. But other than that, everything comes from some foreign producer. Okay.
And the tax thing, from what I understand, if they charge less in tax, more people are willing to comply and they actually get more in tax receipts. I guess that's not always the factor, but from what I understand, it can go that way.
Yeah.
Not always. It's not static.
Right on. 175 people, 169 people, 77 likes. Keep hitting that thumbs up button. We'll get more people to join in on this live stream.
What are your thoughts on younger people not dating and birth rates dropping in the U.S.?
That's a Cantillon effect taking place. I don't know how many people realize that, but that's actually Cantillon describes what's taking place going on there. And surprisingly, it's really surprising because it's so counterintuitive, but once you think about it, it makes sense that if you are a wealthy nation, your birth rates are going to drop. And it doesn't make sense because you think, well, wealthy nations should be able to afford kids, which is true, they could. But it's not wealthy people who are having a lot of kids, it's poor nations who have kids. Now you have to think about it from your own personal point of view, in which your standard of living is going to diminish if you have kids. So if you have kids and you're rich and you're having these kids and your standard of living diminishes because of it, because kids are expensive, then most likely you're not going to have a whole lot of kids unless you can really, really want them, right? Now, if you're poor as hell and your standard of living is pretty much poverty and your chances of failure is death, then, really, you can have about as many kids as you want, right? It's not going to make any difference. And hopefully maybe one or two of them will actually do pretty well and come back and take care of you. So when you find these poor nations out there, you find a lot of overpopulation. Like you can argue with me all you want about it. Just go and look at all the poor nations and just view it for yourself. Overpopulation happens in these particular nations, in the nations that have developed, into a higher standard of living, have, population growth that has diminished quite dramatically. So when Cantillon describes it hundreds of years ago, then there's no point in blaming anything else. You can blame education, you can blame all the rise in birth controls, or just maybe even social behavior. But then again, social behavior, in my opinion, is another symptom of the economy and how it is that, the luxurious experience of being able to even earn money for yourself has then, giving a lot more independence to people where they don't have to team up like they used to. What is that one?
That's from D's Nuts.
D's Nuts, right on. It's great to see you.
Says, hi, Simon and Hyder.
Hey, right on. It's good to see you. What did she send me? $20. Oh, you're so cool. Man, D's. That's awesome. Where did we meet? We met at
that was Vegas, the
Vegas,
Silver
the Silver Symposium. That's right.
Gosh, that was so much fun.
That
so much fun.
was a fun trip. It was kind of a different one, you know?
Yeah, it really was.
I mean, it was cool, but
A little more loose than other investment conferences.
yes, for sure. What do we got for a comment?
Hitting there. How beneficial is it to your channel to play? Well, I'm having a hard time reading. Your 49 video playlist in its entirety and allow all ads to play through. That's cool.
Is that what Bittner does?
That's what he's doing.
Oh man,
That
you're so
is
rad.
super cool. I should be doing that too. So I have the opportunity to use 4x speed if I just want to just show support and just look like I watched the whole thing. And I do that sometimes. I'll just 4x speed and put the phone down and let it play.
Yeah. Well,
That's
YouTube
pretty
hates
cool.
it when I do that. They get mad. They actually told me not to tell people to do that.
I didn't say it. He didn't say it. I did. Let's put it that way.
It's part of the partnership. Great. All Night is going to demonetize my channel. Like, sabotage me.
Nice. Dee's going back to Vegas next week to see Backstreet Boys at the Sphere.
Oh, no shit.
I'm sure that's real inexpensive.
That's funny. Backstreet Boys.
Golly, the Sphere. That thing is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. What is the next one that came up there? Will the U.S. need to, what is that, import workers kind of like Russia and, what does that say? And then,
Oh, so they're going to import workers from India.
oh, Russia's importing workers from India? I don't know why. Why we're trying to export Mexicans. I don't know why they would want to import
All right.
Indians. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know what I am so frustrated over this whole immigration. Like, I try not to even focus in on it or look at it because ultimately I have to ask myself the question, and I really do. It's just like, if I was a Mexican in Mexico trying to look for a better way, where would I be? And I'd be right here doing this. So, whatever. I know you got to do what you got to do in order to make things right, but some of the things that they're doing out there, it just drives me crazy to see it. And I think some of it is really a distraction away from what it is that's really important. When you make something like this so critical of an issue for yourself and such a focus of attention, then what ends up happening is that you end up feeding it a lot, right? And it ends up creating like power pendulum effects from it, where it ends up zapping a lot of your energy and time and effort. Because you have to think, like, although it's really important, it might be close to you, and unless you're like right in the thick of it, thinking about it from a news article that you read or watched on TV or something, and then carrying that with you, is depriving you from the ability to be thinking and doing something that is going to be more of a benefit to your life. And so, although it might be really important and a very important topic and meaningful to you, carrying that energy is giving it the power, but it's not giving you a power that you can use to benefit your life. You're literally just deploying this energy to them. And the more people who do that, the more they grow and build off of that. But yet you're left depleted with literally nothing to show from it. Anything good come up? Oh.
Terry Millie Boulevard writes, America is letting the Mexicans stay because they're family oriented and we need kids.
Yeah.
Give and take, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, Dylan. Dylan's in the chat.
Yeah.
That's my buddy.
Yeah. I can't reach over and scroll, so
I know, right? Gotta use my phone.
I can't read through the comments. Yeah. I just got my glasses here.
Yeah, Dylan and I have been chatting the last couple weeks.
Oh yeah. I'm convinced that there will be civil unrest. I don't know. I mean, if you're convinced of it, then you should probably set up for it and prepare for it. And get all your money tied up into the protection of that, and then other people who are attempting to start businesses and buy into cash flowing assets and do other things that are going to actually return on investment to them, that's going to be something that they can show for. There'll be less competition, right? Because you're not doing it, So, I mean, go for it. I mean, they're going to need people like you if it happens, like the civil unrest thing, if you're all prepared for it. But then again, is that like happening? I mean, I don't see them happening right now. And so, what is happening is that there's people who are investing and getting a return on that investment and deploying more money into that sort of idea, which is then separating themselves from people who aren't doing that. So I don't know, man. Like I know how to shoot rifles and I got a lot of ammunition and I like kind of stocked up and I know how to can. Well, my wife knows how to can, so I got to keep her close. But so in that sense, like I kind of have my idea of what I'm going to do to prep, right? But when it comes to like trying to do something that's going to benefit my life in the future, I'm trying to figure out what I can do to have a return on my investments, my cash flowing returns, whatever that might be. But there could be silver linings. I don't know.
I think it's a fine line between prepping for and manifesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that could be the case, right?
It's a personal thing. Everything's personal.
I think about it, like people say, well, like, what is the New World Order going to do? It's going to destroy your life, right? Like, if you think about it in this sense, right? They're going to come in and they're going to destroy your life. They're going to destroy your entire existence. You won't have a business. You won't have hardly any money. You won't have any, thing to own, nothing to show for, own nothing at all, right? And I'm thinking to myself, man, when I was 40 years old, that's exactly the position that I was holding, and I totally thought the New World Order was coming after me. Like it did. It totally did. Like it does do it. That's what it does. It will destroy your existence. Just keep studying it. Just keep diving deeper all day, every day. Don't think about starting businesses. Don't think about investing. Don't think about working. Don't think about anything else but diving deeper into how it is that the New World Order is going to take over and destroy your world. Because I assure you, you'll find it. It works. It'll destroy your world.
Yep.
Like it did mine, And that's what's crazy about it is that I know so much stuff about these things that I had researched. Like you wouldn't believe, like just the idea of learning about what it is that your social security number is and means is I would never have learned any of that stuff if I didn't dive into the conspiracy theories that I had done and realize that some stuff is like complete nonsense and then there's some other stuff out there that is so unreal and how real it is that nobody could ever wrap their head around. Like it is mind blowing, to think about it. And then once you kind of get it, it's like you don't even conduct yourself the same way anymore.
I remember looking into the frills on the inside flag in the courtrooms. People think that's a maritime thing. It's maritime law, and I remember kind of getting sucked into that, but then I saw actual court cases and court rulings where these judges say, no, this is because it's an indoor flag. There's no wind indoors. So to make it look a little more regal, like it's waving, we put this nice frill on the edges. Doesn't signify anything. So, I mean, if it ever comes down to, you could actually use that court ruling as, hey, you guys are using the flag fringes against me. Well, no. You can't use them against me because I got this court ruling. It's offsetting stuff. It's goofy.
Right. And
It's
that's
goofy.
and that's where I think a lot of people start to get confused by it because ultimately, they just kind of watch like Judge Judy kind of things. This, bang, get out, right? And Judge Judy's smarter than anybody else in the entire room and all this. But then one day you actually watch a court hearing where somebody kind of knows what they're talking about and all of a sudden the judge is fumbling because they don't know exactly how to handle the
Yeah.
situation, and they know that if they slip up he's going to get away with it, and so you'll find where all of a sudden the judge will just walk off, and in these cases, like I've even seen where people try to take like control of the court, like if the judge walks off, it's just so weird, like how it is that these rules and regulations, or not even regulations, how these rules really play out. And yeah, right there, like that is not a conspiracy. These are not conspiracy theories. This is the reality of it, and most people have no idea. And if they were to ever dive into anything, that's the stuff that they should dive into, right? Because it's not even a conspiracy. That's real.
And it's very easy with AI to learn that stuff. So from what I understand, and I've actually done this, you can upload the court rules of procedures, the civil rules of procedure, from that particular court. Upload it to AI, and you can ask all the questions you want. How do I file this amicus brief? How do I do this? Would you please write me an amicus brief according to this and this and that? And you train it with that specific civil rules of procedure, whatever I'm saying here, and it will be able to answer your questions. And then you just kind of vet the thing. You don't actually take the answer and just as gospel. You got to kind of vet it and actually go and look at the civil rules of procedure. But
it gives you at least some kind of
it'll
guideline.
it'll do 90% of the work. No attorneys needed.
And that's where it's like, now you can like just practice it up, just learn, just kind of give it through different scenarios that you may end up facing or that somebody may end up facing to understand how it is that you can retain not only your rights and, essentially your sovereign position inside of the courtroom, because really you have the highest authority, but most people don't realize that they literally hand it over soon as they walk in. By even stating their name, they're giving it up, and this is like as soon as you do it, it's over. You're in their game, and now you have to play their rules. But if you never step into their courtroom in without going through the proper I don't even know how to say it, procedures, steps, or something in order to maintain, your sovereignty within it. It's like it's an incredible thing. What are they laughing? What are you laughing about?
Reduced Sugar Daddy says, as soon as AI can cook and clean, I'm filing for divorce. Funny thing is, AI can do it for you. AI will file it.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Lucia says, don't rely on the references. I would definitely agree.
Oh yeah, no, everything like that's the whole point. Like I even say that about my own channel here is that I tell people like I'm just the opinion part of this thing, right? Like the facts are usually down in the description or at least the article that I'm pulling, certain talking points from. So I mean, at least giving you some place that you can go to say, okay, this is where he is at least getting this from, or talking about, or giving you some sort of reference to, so that you can form your own opinion, so you can do your own research. Because that's the whole point of this all, is that you do your own research. Because I know that it's easy to be entertained and listen to other people and kind of take in what is believing research, but a lot of times it's regurgitated misinformation that's being pushed out there. And I think about like just some of the things that I have learned just from my own research that I've now pushed against, so many other economists out there. Just something simple as 2% interest, or 2% inflation rate. Like I loved it when I saw it out there so pushed so hard. I'm thinking, wow, I guess I'm going to be the only one's going to say moderately above 2% for some time. So and I stick to it because that's what I know and saw from my research, not from anything that I've ever read from anybody else out there anywhere, anytime, never, right?
Man, there's some great comments.
Is there? Let's hear it.
There's some great ones. All right, so real quick, I want to get to your small town solar, but real quick, ZN asks, are you talking about sovereign citizen stuff?
No.
And I think sovereign citizen is an oxymoron. A sovereign has no higher power, and a citizen is subject to a higher power. So to be both at the same time is oxymoronic.
It's better to just say sovereign or just say like, I don't even know, like one of the people.
Just sovereign is
just sovereign is probably it.
Deja writes, it's extremely difficult to defend sovereign and qualified immunity. And the qualified immunity thing is a little difficult to get around, but what you do is you hold them accountable. For example, an HOA, if they're charging you, if they're saying, hey, we can take your house because your grass is too tall, that's because they're protecting everybody's property value. Yet, at the same time, they're not guaranteeing that property value. Because if somebody's property goes down in value, or price, I guess I should say price, then that HOA isn't going to step in and compensate them for that price drop. So the HOA in itself is oxymoronic. So there is a way to beat the qualified immunity if you hold them accountable. If you ask the right questions, is what it is.
And and everything. That's like one of the things that I loved. I don't know how many people are out there who are farmers, but if you follow Joel Salatin, like he was pretty popular recently. Like he was one of like Trump's kind of, I don't know, buddies or something. But before all that stuff, I was following him when I was doing the whole chicken farming thing, and he said everything had to do with the way you word it, right? Everything had to do with wording.
Yeah.
So, for example, like I really wanted to butcher other people's chickens because I had this chicken processing facility and process to it that I could do it really quick. And I wanted to do it for other people, but I couldn't legally do it because I didn't have the proper equipment, facility, everything that goes with the requirements, for doing it, for charging people. And so I just kept going, trying to figure it out. And finally I got somebody to tell me, he says, listen, dude, you cannot charge people to butcher birds, but you can teach them how to do it.
Mm.
All right. And I went, oh, gotcha, man. All right. Lessons, $5 a bird. How many lessons in a row do you want to do? There. And that's how I got around it, is I just started teaching how to butcher, and I started butchering birds, and nobody ever questioned me on it or anything because I didn't really do that many, because it was like, a pain in the ass. So it was like, it wasn't that much fun to do them. But, anyway, that was one of the things I was doing to get around, like, particular laws, as I just said that I was like teaching instead of actually doing the work.
All right, let's go. Small Town Solar writes, do you encourage your own kids to move out at a young age, or is it better? Yeah. Or is it better if they stay home and invest 100% of their income, or some variation I would include? I don't understand why most American families don't pool their money.
Yeah.
Which I would agree.
It's probably because if you think about it, there was a time in this, you got to think like every generation kind of teaches the next generation how to do things. And so if you had a generation of people who could like provide for an entire family, like you could provide for 5 people and a wife and yourself and retirement and all the other stuff that goes with this stuff, like if you could do that off of a single income, then you're sitting in a much different position than trying to figure out how it is that you're going to scrounge and make it. Like my kids now, I think about it, like I'm raising them in a kind of an affluent area, right? And every year it seems to get more and more that way. So by the time they're graduating high school and trying to move out, if they don't have some sort of assistance, they're like going to have a difficult time trying to go out there and get a day job at a hardware store to go and, be able to rent an apartment and do all the other things like I had done. I mean, like I put them in this position, right? So like when you say, should a family do that? Well, yeah, if they're in the position in which that's the requirement for them, like if they need to do that, like I'm gonna need to do that, I think, for my kids, and I think that somebody who's in a poor nation, a poor part of the country, like if they don't have a whole lot of income, I think they would have to do the same thing. But then again, if you have a guy who has a badass construction business and his son has been busting out houses since he was 15 years old and is now graduating high school and has all the equipment and a crew of guys that can work for him, I don't understand why you need to pool money together. That guy could probably just run off on his own and just do his own thing, right? Like, so what kind of circumstances are you in? It's everything is the meaning that you're going to give it. You got to think about that. Is it good now? Is it not? I mean, I don't know. I mean, right now I think it's a great time. That's the hard part to try and be on this channel and share with people, because so many people are like, man, it's so difficult. It's hard to make it out here. What is it that we need to do to change the way things are being done out there so that my life can be easier? And I'm thinking, man, that is the hardest thing in the world to try and figure out. What you can figure out is what it is that you need to do, right? Which can be hard for a lot of people because they really want to have somebody else deal with it. But if you figure it out for yourself and how to literally deal with the problem, well, then you start dealing with it. You start figuring it out. You start doing businesses, and you start, figuring out how to work overtime or cutting back on your expenses. Whatever. I don't know, man. Everybody's got to figure it out.
Benny's in the chat.
Oh yeah, nice. It's good to see Benny.
The roll dog.
Yeah. Got any comments?
They're coming in fast.
Yeah, I know, man. Sometimes they do.
So, government should have the heart of the people. What is in the heart of Americans? Question mark.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess the government should, but do they? I mean, have they ever? Like, I mean, I've heard nothing but like complaining about the government my entire life, and as far as back as I can tell, people have complained about the government since its existence. And what they should do and what they do is never really seems to align for the people on a whole. Like, unless there's like some kind of war effort taking place all of a sudden,
Show us your hands.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, again, to me, I think about things from like I try to look at the world in a way that I can't change. Like, I can't change the external of anything out there. I can try and change my position in it, the way that I conduct myself in it, but there's nothing I can really do to change it. And I can share an ideas with people about like what it is that we can do. And that's probably a pretty good thing for a lot of people out there to do, because I'm not saying you should give up completely on politics and just let, chaos rule. But then again, I think we as people in the technologies we have nowadays, I think we can actually probably conduct ourselves in a way that is pretty humane and irrelevant to government. I mean, I really honestly think that can happen. I mean, I'm a true anarchist at heart, not the kind that wants to blow shit up, but the kind that is like, man, let's just get government out of our life and just conduct ourselves in a way that just makes them irrelevant.
Yeah, I think Doug Casey calls himself an anarcho-capitalist. I like that term.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like Doug. We met him over at the Rebel Conference. Did you meet him?
I didn't meet him, no.
Oh, he wasn't at that one. Yeah, I got to meet Doug.
I'd love to meet him.
He's a good guy, man. It's so funny to like, have seen like a lot of these guys are like, when I was first getting into economics and studying this stuff and like watching all these videos and all these economists, and then one day I'm sitting in the green room with them, and I'm like, holy moly, man. And he was like, you going on stage? Well, yeah, tomorrow, man. You know what?
Yeah, I was telling Jay the story of when George was pinning the mic on Robert Kiyosaki in the back of the conference hall, and I had just walked past him, and I knew it was the worst time to ever approach Robert, but I grabbed my balls and I walked back there, and I did, and I get right up in Robert's face as George is pinning the mic on his collar, and again, worst time, 30 seconds before he's walking up on stage, and I just asked Robert a question. Can I ask you a question, Mr. Kiyosaki? And he starts pawing at me, like pushing me away. No. And I just ask right through his hands, and I say, would you go up there and would you curse for emphasis? This place needs some energy. Would you go up there and curse? And he just, oh, you motherfucker. He loved it. And he started like pawing me in at that point. George is just cracking up next to him. And like I said, 30 seconds later, he's up on stage. And the first thing he says is, I got to apologize to my wife. She asked me not to curse, but this gentleman asked me to curse, and he starts cursing, and the place just erupts. And the energy I was looking for just erupted. And meanwhile, Simon's in the green room, just getting green.
Yeah, because this is, okay, so I'm sure a lot of people have heard the story, but it was, right? So All-Nighter got Robert Kiyosaki all fired up. Like, I met All-Nighter, like, we kind of briefly met. And like, this is the first time we actually met face to face, because we had talked a few times through email and stuff. And I'm like, I never spoke on stage before, right? So like, I'm just some dude, right? It was like, at this point I had never done anything like this, and I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna speak in front of all these people at this big time economics conference with all these super famous people at it, and I'm sitting in the green room. All-Nighter fires up Robert Kiyosaki. He's up there cussing, and I'm like in the back going like, oh God, I'm gonna throw up, right? I cannot believe this. And he's just like, ah, and the crowd is just screaming. And this dude Mike, who actually he's been to Zuber's conference a couple of times, and I like it when he approaches us and comes up and talks to us. But Mike, he was sitting in the green room, and he looks over at me and he says, "You're on next." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "George must have a hell of a lot of confidence in you to put you on after Kiyosaki." And I'm like, oh God. Yeah, anyway, I went up on stage and pulled it off. Yeah.
Is that Mike Maloney?
No, that was I can't remember Mike's last name, but no, we met him over at Zuber's conference. He
Oh,
has the shirt. He wears the shirt. He has the greatest idea for spreading his content. He has his name and his phone number on the T-shirt that he wears right to the conference. So all you have to do is just take a picture of him, or any picture of him has his name and phone number right
yeah,
on it.
it is
It's
such
just
a
like
good
it's
idea.
brilliant. Yeah, just brilliant. I got to remember that. Yeah. Anything else good?
Wayne's asking what he missed.
Would it be? Well, let's start from the beginning. Well, we're
Good
gonna have to
times,
miss.
Wayne.
What time is it? Is it getting close to the end? Oh yeah, cool. 1 hour into it. So if anybody has any questions, let's get it knocked out. Otherwise, we're gonna call it good and go in and eat pizza. Oh, by the way, it's All Nighter's birthday.
Oh yeah, even I forgot.
Yeah. It was mine yesterday, by the
way. Oh man, that's funny.
So yeah, wish All Nighter happy birthday.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we could have got more comments doing that.
44 years young. Mama had a hard time 44 years ago. See, I'm trying to share all the links.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks you guys.
All Nighter Hider. People always argue over small or big government. Oh, I missed it.
When in reality, it's about effective government, no matter if big or small.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, here's the thing. Like, ultimately, how much government would you really need if everybody just behaved?
Yeah, if people were responsible.
I mean, just saying. I mean, if contracts, that's why I love like the idea of smart contracts, because like if you can make the contracts fulfill no matter what, right? Like it's going to go through regardless. Then it kind of makes governments and courts and all that irrelevant in a lot of ways. And so, like, yeah, how hard is it for people to behave and and use smart contracts? I mean, it's like then we wouldn't need a whole lot of government. We could just kind of eliminate a lot of it.
I like Zian. Happy birthday, fellas. Getting old is the true wealth. As morality increases, freedom increases.
The longer you live.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. Here's one for you. Here, you guys want a charity case? Somebody want a really good one? I shouldn't even bring this dude up, but I got a hard case that I got to deal with. I got somebody in my life who is not adulting. He is not doing the proper things. He is needing to get on Social Security, and he needs to go to the VA and get signed up and do all these things that he's refusing to do, and he is slowly deteriorating. Like that's like the only way that I can describe it, and it's getting pretty bad to the point that it's like I'm wondering how much longer this guy has. And so he's trying to show up every single day for work, and he now no longer has a vehicle, and he's paying to essentially get rides to and from work, which is eating into all his money. And I don't know what it is that he could possibly do without going and getting Social Security and getting signed up with the VA and trying to get some serious help that way. So he's kind of like refusing, and I don't know what to do. So anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with that and try and figure that out for me, would you?
Real quick, Aloysius is asking, what is important to him? Does he have children, grandchildren?
Nope.
Just him?
It's just him.
Just his quality of life?
It's just him. This is it.
That's all that matters.
And so, I mean, this is the thing that I've learned in life is that everybody around you, no matter who it is, every single person is a teacher. And what this dude is teaching me right now is a big lesson, and I'm not sure what it is that I'm supposed to learn from him. Is that it? Uneducated Economist?
You guys let me know. How do we end this thing?
Hit that X up there in the corner.